and just wanted to give you like a little bit of a overview of kind of where this came from. This whole thing really came from a tweet that that Lou saw, and I think Katie might have seen. And it was really came from just me trying to remanage my new life. In the past, I used to work at the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. And I'm not kidding that we ran a $3 million program in Excel, weekly meetings, and paper planners for 10 years. Some of us were local, some of us work remotely, and all of us work remotely at some point in time. And that it actually worked really, really well for us, in part because we had patterns and systems that were already in place. And so we could work in that world. One of the things I like about Mural, these templates are linked. So if you click on any of these, see how it says open Mural, I'm not sure if you can read it, it'll take you to these templates. One of the things I love about Mural is that the community generates these amazing templates that you can use as jumping off points for your own designs, ideas, for all sorts of things. So it's great for project management, excellent for things like, this one is a quarterly timeline, so you can sort of map out what's happening across the quarter. This one is a little template to walk your team through a new project kickoff. And this one down here that I just moved is a weekly team retrospective. So it's sort of the check-in on how are we doing, where are we going, what's going on, kind of thing. And I'd found a lot of fun playing in Mural because I use it with all of my clients. My clients are mostly scientific and interdisciplinary research teams that are trying to put conditions in place to really flourish as a team. It's sort of the people part that have me stuck. Oh, I'm going to release whoever was following me so we can move around. So this is sort of the story of how my template came to be. I had a new need and context going on in my world. The program that I worked for at the National Academies had ended. I had decided to go into business for myself. And I found that I was doing a really good job of tracking client projects and managing all of the things I need to do for my clients. But there's always, this is the idea squirrel, who's always a danger to all of us following the good ideas. Because I was operating in a new world of entrepreneurship, there was no end to idea squirrels. Like every time I turned around, there was an idea squirrel that was pulling me off of the work of actually being in my business and figuring out what is this going to look like? What do I need to do to have a business? Not just the client side, but this other side of what I need to do for my business. And I was just sort of stuck. And I went back to the old tools that I used and it wasn't working. I went to all sorts of things, paper planners. And I sort of spent like the first year in my business trying to figure out how do I manage my business projects. And I realized that part of what my struggle was in project management was that there was this personal dimension to the professional work that I needed to find a way to deal with in whatever system I designed for myself. And I was having so much fun in Mural. I said, well, let's see if I can do something there. And that is where this template came from. I'm going to click on it and see if it'll let us go there. Should. There we go. This was really a case of me trying to wrap my head around limiting work in progress, which Lou told us about earlier, having fun and staying focused. And we can go into detail, sort of all of the pieces of this, but the idea here was just to take, this is a bigger picture view. So this wasn't task management. I do that somewhere else, but this is like, where do I need to be focusing my attention to really get a return on what I'm doing for myself and what I'm doing in my business. And so this goes from what is my goal? Why does this goal matter to me? This is a habit I picked up years ago because I would start doing these things and I'd forget why that was important. So I wanted that front and center on this template. And I wanted a different idea of metrics. My sort of home discipline is program evaluation, so I really like being able to measure things. But I also wanted to give myself a little bit of grace in these goals. So I had sort of the lower, middle, and upper boundary of success for what it would look like with each of these goals. And then this A, B, C, and D, these are the actual projects that go to account for these goals. When I first made this, I thought, well, I'll just put the tasks right here and I can manage them from there. And I realized that many of these projects have so many tasks that I didn't have enough sticky notes to do that. So I decided that these would be more like sub-projects. And this little legend was sort of my daily management of, I go in here and I decide what are the projects I'm going to work on this week. And then I have all of these little cues that are sort of me managing myself because I work for myself. And this is sort of the mentor, coach, colleague who might help you if you get stuck. This was me having to do that for myself. So this was me sort of putting in my own sort of self-coaching program on top of my project management. Because I think that's something that sometimes gets left out of project management is, where might you get stuck? What will you need if you get stuck? What are your resources that you can draw on when it's just not working? And how do we work with that, right? Like whether we're alone with a team, those are really good habits for us all to have. So these are some of the things that I put in here. And I also wanted to capture like, what are the things that I'm working on that I really love and enjoy? So I put those like right into the plan. Part of this was also figuring out just how much time do I have to do these things? And the gray boxes here are things that I realized I'm not going to have time to accomplish those things. And I didn't want to lose them. So I just grayed them out. I was like, it's still there, but we're just not going to do that right now. The whole yellow column is really like a self-management thing. Like what am I going to get from doing these projects? So not rewards like, oh, I'm going to have, $10,000 client or anything like that. It was by working with my goals and creating the discipline that Lou talked about earlier. I will be building self-trust. I will be creating a new identity for myself. I will be developing my skills in certain areas. So those are the things I wanted to remind myself of. And these little things are just in my live board, they link to resources and tools that I need in order to accomplish my projects. And down in the bottom row is all just a reflective space. And I'm going to close out of this and go back over here. So some of the things I put in here are the Pomodoro method, which I love. You set a timer for 25 minutes, you focus on a thing, and then you take a 5-minute break. I put my whole life into how many Pomodoros I think it's going to take. And that really helps me manage my time. It also helps me build for my projects. And I have an app that I like to use for that. The other companion to this is very similar to what Lou showed in the Trello board, which is a Kanban board. So Mural has a Kanban board that can be used. And I have this very high-tech version here that I will show you because it's a community and we share things as a community. This is my Kanban board that cost me nothing to make because I had the paper at home. And I joke that, CEOs of big companies, they have a board of directors that they answer to. So I answer to the Kanban board. That is my board that I answer to. And I have it divided up with, high quality washi tape. But the physical act of going to get these things and moving them to my desk really helps me focus on what I'm doing. And it gets me out of my chair as well. So this is my Kanban board. So I move things down this board the same way Lou and her team are moving things across their Trello board. And I've made a few adjustments to it. The other piece that I've added to this that I got from the book Personal Kanban, and of course I took at the Modus Institute on personal Kanban, was this idea of using prioritization matrices to analyze how your work is going and what's happening as a team. So here's an example I put down here. This is a picture of, these are the projects. This is part of my 2021 reflection. These were the projects that I worked on last year. And I had, what value do they create and how much time did they take? Yeah, and so one thing I wanted to mention is strategic doing has a very similar kind of matrix that they use for deciding what to do, and it's what is big and what is easy.